Hey everyone, welcome to the premiere of my brand new show here, Towards the Future. So I'm so excited about this. I see that there's already some people here who have liked and disliked the video. People who dislike, it could be those hateful vegans we'll be talking about. I don't know. I don't know who did that, but we're not going to focus on that. No. We're going to focus on the premiere here and the brand new series that I have. So since this is the beginning, I want to talk a little bit about what this is going to be about and how I came up with the idea and ultimately what we're going to be doing with this sort of series. So I'm trying something brand new. This is a brand new type of material that I'll be doing and trying out. And I'm curious to know what you think of it. So this new show, Towards the Future, that I'll be doing here, it is a weekly show that I want to be able to do. So I want to be able to do this every week. I get on here and talk with you live and interact with you, as well as discuss a specific topic and then related news and articles about that topic that has recently come out, or things that are very important to the future of human beings. And that is how I came up with the name Towards the Future, because we are moving towards the future. Now, the thing is about the future is always here and the past is always here, or other way around. Past is here, whatever. We are never in the past and we are never in the future. We're always in the present moment. So we are moving towards this future that we may have an idea of in our mind, or how anything else is proceeding. So in that case, we are moving towards the future, and that is the idea and how I came up with this name for this show. So I'm sure you're wondering how this is going to be different from any other usual live stream that I'm going to do. Well, I've picked a specific topic, and this was a topic that I came up with that I had seen. Like, if you ever load up Google or any other types of news source, you may see recommended news sources. And, I sometimes follow some of these news sources because some of them are quite interesting and informative. Other ones are quite ridiculous. And we'll be exploring both of those types of news sources. So I don't want to call this a news show, but we will be going over the news, certain news aspects and certain things, and I'll be giving my opinion on it. I'll be asking you all here in the chat, all you wonderful people who are already here. I'll be asking you, what is your thought on this? How do you perceive it? And ultimately, as I said, I want to do this once a week, and this is going to be about a 30-minute to 60-minute show. It depends on multiple factors of that week. So let me know, certainly what you think of this, and we're just trying it out brand new. So if you're here, thank you so very, very much. And we will proceed from here. So the topic for today, and thank you so much, E-Rock, for contributing for today. I'm very, very happy for that you have contributed. I believe your name will appear here. There we go. So thank you so much for donating, E-Rock. It certainly helps continue on making this sort of content. Just trying something new. Let's see how it goes. So in this premiere episode today, what we'll be talking about is veganism. Okay, so veganism. Not many people are vegan. It is increasing the number of people who are vegan, but the majority of people are not vegan. Now, there are plenty of people who are vegan who wishes everyone would be vegan, who wishes everyone would convert and see their way of life and change how they are. But that ultimately, that's not going to happen. Okay? And we will see what some of the ridiculousness is here with certain vegans, and as well as just some of the hatred some people get for nonsensical things that really shouldn't matter at all. Okay? So I do have a list of resources and articles in the description below that we will be going over in that order. And I will give you my opinion on it. I will tell you what is ridiculous about this and what, you know, it doesn't have to always be ridiculous. Some of them are ridiculous. Other things are, shall we say, very in alignment with my beliefs. But we're just going to talk about and critique it and criticize it, whatever you want to say. And I'm going to be asking you, what's your opinion on this? Give me some feedback. Okay, so I'm going to put the article on the side here, and we're just going to go over them and just discuss them and just talk about them and just proceed from there. Okay, so that's how this is going to go. And I know I'm going a little bit overboard here with explanation, but this is the premiere, so I have to let you all know what is going on here. So the first article here comes from QZ.com, and it is a vegan mocked a Chinese hot pot for not being vegan and got a viral history lesson. Okay, and if we look up here, plant-based haterism. So this is already bashing this person who had criticized this Chinese hot pot place. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Chinese hot pot is essentially where you have one big pot of like a broth, and you can put various things in it, and then you consume that. Okay, and then specifically with like Chinese food, especially, I know I've had a hard time. It's many things it is hard to find vegetarian and vegan options of, because there's a lot of things that are animal products in it, even if you wouldn't expect it. So that's happened to me a number of times when I've been out and I've ordered something. I didn't realize it until I ask, what is in this. But here is some of, I find this article specifically to be a bit absurd. And here is the reason why. So we have this man here, you can tell he is a vegan here, because you see a lot of vegans put a V here. Now, mind you, I am a vegan as well, okay? But I'm not one that is, about. I don't make it so everyone is aware of it. It doesn't really matter. And Paula, I used to be pescatarian, and I went vegetarian, and then I went a vegan. So it was a long process to be able to get to that point. So let's just take a look over his comment here, and let's just analyze this situation. So he says, meat eaters be like, vegan food looks and tastes gross, and then eat something that looks like leftover dishwater. So this image here shows the Chinese hot pot here, and it doesn't look the most pleasant, and how he's describing it is very accurate with how it looks. But I don't really understand how that is any sort of discrimination against, as you can see, Chinese working class people. Well, yeah, and essentially, I think a lot of times when someone says something like this, I mean, he may not even know what he's really describing. He may not really know what is going on here. So, as you can see, there were many replies to this here, and it goes on about talking about the history of hot pot and all this other stuff. And then we have another person here just kind of going on about can we talk about white veganism for a second? So veganism as practiced by white Western culture is neo-colonistic. So all this jargon that they use, and all this other words and everything. So essentially, this person is very upset with a comment that this original guy made. And as I said, I don't see anything wrong with him talking about his own perspective here. Now, here's the thing about what the perspective of what food is. So with food, a lot of it is the appearance of food. So you can look at food and it could look amazing, and you may want to eat that, and then it's not very good. And then other times it may be a very disgusting looking food, but it could be very healthy and beneficial to your body, and it could be very tasty as well. how I like to categorize it, and this is not how a lot of people categorize it, it's number one is the health of the food. So how healthy is the food? Number one. Number two is how does the food taste to you? And number three is how does the food look? So the appearance really isn't all that important. But people make it important. And the whole point of that is because your digestive system essentially starts in your eyes. When you look at something, when you look at a food that's really tasty, you get excited about it and you want to go after it and you want to eat that. But the thing is, if a lot of foods are, artificially colored to make it look more appealing to you, is that something that you go towards because it just looks more appealing, despite knowing that the artificial colors and everything in it are very unhealthy for the body. So there's a lot of things there to really take into consideration. And not only that, this person here, criticizing, this food that obviously has animal products in it for looking bad, despite the fact that any type of food can look bad. It doesn't matter if it is vegan, if it doesn't matter if it has animal products in it at all. You will find any kind of food that is for any type of diet that someone has to be gross looking or appealing looking. So to me, if I see that image, and even if it didn't have any animal products in it whatsoever, that would look appealing to me because if I like that food, that is what I like. It doesn't matter. But the thing is, people are getting very over the top and offended at this sort of comment. So what do you all think? Do you find this type of comment to be offensive? That this person is talking about this hot pot, Chinese hot pot, and saying that it looks like leftover dishwater, despite the fact that he's not really on the same page here, knowing what vegan food could look as just like that as well. It doesn't matter. And that's what some other comments are down here. Again, you can look at this article yourself. You can take a look through it as well. And so and again, just talking about just all this other stuff and going on these long conversations of these people who get very highly offended. And that is where I wanted to start with this conversation, because in this last paragraph here of this article, we have TV host Andrew Zimmern. I used to love Andrew Zimmern so much. When I was probably not too much younger, probably like about, like 10, probably not even 10 years ago, probably more like 8 years ago or so. I used to watch his bizarre food show on the Travel Channel all the time. Okay? Alright, so I used to watch that show, and he would eat some really bizarre things, okay? I mean, tons of nasty, crazy stuff. Well, as you can see here, he got in trouble for suggesting that his new chain of Chinese restaurants could save America from the horse-s restaurants run by Chinese Americans in the Midwest. Now, obviously, maybe his comment was a bit uncalled for there, but he had to apologize for the comment, and his shows have lost their prime spot on Travel Channel. So, because of that one comment, and I think, some of these related articles here talks about how he was not intentionally talking bad. It was something else he was saying. But you have to watch every single thing that you say these days, because you can't risk offending someone, or stuff like this happens. You are a celebrity, you say something that someone gets offended at, and you lose your show, you lose opportunities, you lose a lot of things because you offended, a few people who get all riled up and then start like a movement to get you banned. So that is something that we are headed in towards the future as we're going. Okay, so we are headed towards this society of people who are not able to handle criticism whatsoever. They're not able to take any sort of criticism because they take things that are even just jokes as criticism. and get offended at them. I remember when I was younger that there were many comedians who specialized in doing insult comedy. They would insult people as their form of comedy. They don't stand a chance now because of the state that we are in, where people are, just over the top. So, what do you all think about this? Do you think people are just overreacting to, taking offense and just getting all worked up when they don't need to be? Or do you truly find, some of these comments and statements to be offensive? I'm curious to know what your opinion is before we move on. Yeah, see, Alistair, you say people find it offensive, believe people are going to have their own opinion. Exactly. Everyone has the right to their own opinion. But indeed, Paula, everyone is hypersensitive these days. They really are. And it is really a shame. So, yeah. So this actually leads us into our next article here, which is, why do vegans attract such hatred? This is from CNN. Now, it even has a accompanying video here. This video isn't really related to the article at all, but this video is talking about how food as a medicine, which food is the best medicine of all. It really is. So this article specifically goes on to talk about, let's see, Greg's announced its new vegan sausage roll, and the internet was ablaze with opposing of opinions. So people are all worked up because there is now a vegan sausage roll by this company. Okay? Let's see. Now, even right here, nobody was waiting for a vegan bloody sausage. So obviously a lot of people who are worked up are people who eat animal products and who eat animal meat, that are all worked up. But why would they be all worked up here? Why do you think it is that they're all worked up? Do you think that, now this is a comment that people have made on my videos as well. Some people get really worked up for the fact that they think it's going to replace their food. It's like, I don't want my animal meat to be taken over by some plants. And a lot of times people who get upset will be these men who are very into, consuming animal products, and they think it is unmanly to not consume animal meat, as opposed to a plant, a plant-based type of product. Now, here's the most ridiculous and ironic thing about that. A man, if the stereotypical, the hunter, he's the male who should be gathering the food and killing the animals and this and that. Tell me how many men are the ones actually doing that? I'm sure, this guy right here who had commented this, he's all upset, saying it's going to probably replace his sausage made from, a pig. But is he the one who raised that pig? Is he the one who saw that a pig up to the day that it was going to die? Is he the one who killed that pig with his own hands to be able to eat it? He did not. So he's very hypocritical saying that sort of thing, considering that he has probably never killed anything. So I always say, when it comes to animals, unless you can, raise them and kill them yourself, then perhaps you should look at other ways and have, instead of someone else killing the animal for you. Because the thing is, in theory, human beings are very weak creatures compared to many other animals, because they are unable to kill an animal without using weapons. Yeah. Many animals in nature, they can kill their prey naturally. So a lion, they have claws and teeth and can kill their prey. They don't need to get bullets for a gun. They don't need to make they don't need to make a blade on a knife sharper to kill. That's humans that need to do that, not animals. So that should tell you a little bit about, what is going on here. So again, people can't do that, but they rely on other people to do it for them, and then they get all upset when there is an alternative for people who may want to switch over from animal products. Okay, let me take a quick look here at the chat. Yes, and indeed, Paula, it may be a little bit harder with certain things, making them vegan, but it's possible to make almost anything vegan. You just have to know how to do it. I mean, and that is the biggest difference here, because many people, they don't know what the alternatives are. They're not aware of the alternatives. And they're also not aware of many other things that we will be discussing momentarily here. So they don't know. They're just completely clueless. So again, you can take a look at this article. I think that was the main thing that I wanted to say. It also talks about some myths of veganism. Yeah. Now, the biggest thing when it comes to people who decide to go over to a vegan diet, they could do it for any number of reasons. So anyone who's watching right now, are you vegan? And if so, what made you switch over to that? Now, the major thing is that there are certain reasons why people do that. It could be one reason could be excuse me. One reason could be that because people want a healthier alternative. So they have to switch certain things about their diet to be a bit healthier. Okay, so that could be reason number one. Another reason is perhaps they, I know that there were like three reasons, but I forget the other one. But it could be also animal related as well, to reduce that sort of animal cruelty. And then there was another one that escaped my mind just now, so I do apologize for that. But yeah, many people do because they do want to lose weight, and they want to switch over to a healthier diet. Okay. Let me just take a quick look here. Just taking a quick look over here at your chat. Okay, I think we're all caught up. Now the thing is, when many people make a change, they may not be able to really stick with it because it could be too difficult for them initially. Or it could also be because they end up feeling a certain way or feeling a little ill, or whatever reason. Oh, sorry, all the talking. Okay. I'm not used to talking for this long. Usually irritate my throat here. So, animal welfare, health, and environment. Yeah, you could do, I guess, animal welfare and environment, combine them essentially. Okay. So now here is the thing. Another reason why I think vegans attract so much hate as well, and this actually leads into, well, it doesn't actually lead into the next article, but here's the thing. When I've made videos before in the past about people, when my diet was a pescatarian, and then when I went to a vegetarian, there were many vegans who came over, very arrogant, know-it-all type of vegans who came over. And they were very narcissistic with the types of ideas that they were presenting to me. So because of how they were projecting this type of superiority and shaming me for how I was eating at the time, that made me want to turn the other way. That made me very, very angry. And I think that is why a lot of people have this misconception of vegans, because there are certainly a lot of vegans who would do that. I've encountered a lot of them online, and they are incredibly, incredibly annoying. But on top of that, I think they are the ones who promote people to not actually want to go towards a vegan diet. Because other people may fear that they too will be just like this. So it is very, when you shame people into something and trying to get your own way, you're not going to be successful at being able to do that. So all those people who would do that, you have to understand that everyone has the right to do whatever they want to do with their life, with their body. Even presented with all the information that we would talk about, 2 articles from here. People are going to do whatever they want to do. Okay? So before we actually get to that next article, another good reason why about animal products, and this is one article here that I found, and I couldn't really find any other article about this to really describe how I was talking about, but here is essentially what my type of beliefs are, and the way that I see the world, and the way that I envision the world, and the way that I live. Okay? Food and energy transfer. This article essentially talks about the energy transfer of, the type of energy that is in a food, and then how it gets into your body. Okay? This is talking about here, caged animals and energy transfer. I think that's mostly what it talks about here. So, this person here talks about energy cannot be created or destroyed. Okay. So, here's essentially the principle of this. And it's that whatever type of energy is put into the food and you consume that energy integrates into your body. So, let's use an example, shall we? And this is both in animal products as well as vegetarian products. So it's not just limited to just animal products, okay? So you're all of the factory farming that goes on here, and, raising cows and chickens and pigs who never see the light of day, okay? They are living, in a facility that they cannot express themselves whatsoever. They cannot live. Their sole reason for existing is to be killed. That's the only reason that they exist. And I think they know that because how much torture that they're in. Now, people claim, I've visited farms and I've never seen an animal tortured. That is the minority of farms who may not do that, and it's, allow them to roam free and very small farms, But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the majority of where the meat products come from are from these huge farms where the animals are treated very poorly. And they are, hated on, by the people who work there, and they are, very abused by them. Now, the thing is, a lot of people who work in these farms and who kill these animals are very, very, shall we say, what's the term I'm looking for? Narcissistic, I guess is a good term to use, because you have to be a very narcissistic person. That's not the term that I'm looking for, but hopefully you understand what I'm trying to say. You have to be a narcissistic person to be able to do that sort of thing. It's oh gosh, I do forget the word that I'm looking for. I'm at a loss here. I do apologize. But yes, it's to be able to do that and take out that energy, take out the life of another. And a lot of people may actually be very thrilled with, killing another animal. They may take out a lot of their negativity on the animal and killing them. Okay, so if someone is thrilled, who has, it's very thrilling for them to kill another animal. Perhaps they are struggling at home, financial problems maybe, or maybe the guy is having a lot of marital problems, and he just hates his wife so much, okay? He's very, very angry at her. Whenever he goes to work killing all these animals every day, you know, he's just imagining that that animal is his wife, okay? He's like, oh, you know, slit throat of you and just blood everywhere and just, you know, very, very angry and vile in how he's projecting that. So he's projecting this negative energy that he wants to kill his wife onto these animals. Okay, that negative energy is inside of those animals, those dead animals now at that point, and they are turned into various types of things for human consumption. People, when they pick that up at the grocery store, they don't cleanse the food, you know, as like a spiritual type of cleanse. They would just eat that food, and that negativity will become integrated into them. Perhaps they will get very irritable and angry, and perhaps they could even very well start to get very angry and even have thoughts of killing and other people. So that is the way that I view the world. So because of that, it doesn't matter what type of negative energy is in any type of food, you can clear it and you can let that go. Okay? It's just about focusing on the food and being thankful for it. I mean, how many people who are going to eat animal meat and products are going to be thankful for that? We're going to be, you know, thank you to the person, you know, who raised this animal and who killed it so I could have a meal, so I could grow and develop, even though this animal didn't have the chance to do that or live a happy life. I don't know how many people actually do that. I really don't. But if you can do that, then you're in a much more positive state than anyone else who may be just eating, perhaps even to fulfill some of their negative energy that they have within them. Perhaps some sort of desire that they have to overeat, and not to mention the amount of waste that there is. Okay, and a lot of people, a lot of people who eat animals, you know, who say, you know, this is a natural part of our diet and everything like that, and we've been doing it for many years. We've not been doing it in the same sense that we are doing it now, and that is the difference. Okay, you can't compare, you know, a hunter and gatherer tribe from, you know, our ancestors who, you know, went out and hunted an animal who was free to live their life and killed it, and perhaps were thankful for killing that animal and for giving its life. Whereas today, there is no thanks. There is no thanks at all. That's hard to find. Okay? So our next article here talks about the damages that this might cause as well. So how could this, you know, be killing the planet? And this is one of the things where cognitive dissonance and confirmation bias clicks in for many people. A lot of people will look at the reality of, you know, what is going on in the environment here, and the type of damage that it's doing to the environment and our health, but they would turn a blind eye to it because it's ultimately what you don't see. You know, just turn the other way. You don't see, it's not important. Okay? If you see someone suffering, if you just look away and pretend it doesn't concern you, it's not going to concern you, right? Well, that is very incorrect, because every action and choice that we make, it does affect us and the world. And this applies to all of us. Every single one of us is hypocritical in this area, because even though I could sit here and tell you, I'm not going to do things that are going to go against my beliefs and hurt the environment and hurt other living things, whereas our existence hurts another living creature. It doesn't matter what we do. It's us just existing will hurt something else in some way, even if it's indirectly, okay? So we can't get all worked up over that. Now, we can certainly change many things, but we can't always focus on that. Because here's the thing, you know, if I know that driving a car may damage the environment and cause, you know, X, Y, and Z to happen, am I going to stop driving a car? Am I going to perhaps maybe then change certain things that I do, or drive less, or, probably get a car that's more gas efficient? Those are the steps that I would do, but ultimately eliminating the car altogether really isn't a feasible option. You see what I mean? So it's about, where do you lie here? Do you turn a blind eye and pretend that it doesn't exist? Or do you actually look at, what's going on and then understand the implications and then proceed forward? A lot of people would like to turn a blind eye, but, here is, some of the things here. It says, the environment impact is huge. It causes a lot of environmental damage. It requires masses of grain, water, and land. And again, a lot of water is used, a lot of grain. Because the thing is, and this is another comment people have said, it's like, I don't like vegans because they're taking away food from my meat, okay? And here is how ironic that statement is, because if you didn't eat the animal, all of the food that would be going to the animal could be going to you and feed a lot more people with it. That's the ironic thing about that. Okay, and then again, you can just look at this article yourself. I'm not going to make point of every single type of thing here. Unnecessary animal suffering, it makes us ill. So yes, there is a lot of research into certain animal products, especially when it comes to the damage it causes to our bodies and the types of fats that are in it, and it raises the cholesterol, causes heart disease, diabetes, and various types of cancer. That is very scientifically documented at this point. But here's the thing about health science. Everything has an opposing opinion. And that is what is so crazy about health science. If compared to other types of science, health science especially, it will say, eating a vegan diet is the best type of diet. And then it will say eating a carnivore diet is the best type of diet. And it'll give a lot of, everything in between. And it'll give so many scientific evidence and studies that are very reputable sources. And indeed, the conclusion is that every single one of us is different. So we have to do what is best for our bodies and listen to what our bodies say. Because right now, if my diet works for me, my diet may not work for you at all. You could end up having major allergies to most of the foods that I eat. You could have so many other issues related to the foods that I eat. And it could be the same the other way around. I may not be able to eat your diet because of issues digesting those foods. So that is what's really interesting about that. Yes, every body works differently. I do like that. Thank you so much for that comment. Now, if you are considering going a vegan here, there is one source that I recommend, and this is an affiliate of mine. I do highly recommend their products, and that is Vistro. Vistro, yes, Vistro. If you've never heard of it, it is an online delivery-based vegan service. So you order the food online, they make it, and they ship it to you, frozen, with the dry ice. Now, I do have an affiliate with them, which I will post here in the chat. If you wish to check them out, I will make a small amount of commission off any kind of purchase that you may make, but I do certainly recommend giving it a try, because it is a very, very good program that they have, and the food is just amazing. It really is. So I do highly recommend them. As you can see here, it is 100% plant-based. It's mostly organic ingredients. There's also really no genetically modified organisms in it. So let's see if does that link post? Not sure why Nightbot's not showing that. Let me There we go. It takes a bit for Nightbot. Anyway, so yes, you have many options that you can choose from here. So you can choose between different meal plans. This is how it wasn't really like this when I first joined. They definitely changed it and lowered the prices, which is good. But there's so many options here, and everything is a vegan as well. And you can sort things by let me cancel that. Dietary preferences here. So if you're gluten free or soy free, you know, if you do everything, then it's just one thing practically. But yes, I do highly recommend them. They're a very good company, and I've been using them for several months. So any order over $200 gets you free shipping. So that's usually what I do. I get meals over $200, which lasts me like 2 months or so. So it's really not too bad, but yeah, it's very good. So you can certainly check them out. Very good. Gosh, my throat is just so dry today. So moving on to our second part here, which is gene-edited farm animals. Genetically modified animals. Okay. It was nice seeing you, Paula. I'm glad you could come. So what do you think of gene-edited farm animals? Let's talk about what is gene-edited farm animals, okay? So a lot of times animals are given antibiotics and steroids. Antibiotics prevent them from, getting sick with various types of diseases because they are very crammed in very tight spaces where they're really not able to move. And, some animals even die there. So there's a lot of disease. So they're given a lot of antibiotics. And those antibiotics essentially would make it to your food at some point. So you are consuming some sort of antibiotic in the final product. And they're also given steroids to make them grow really fast, especially chickens and turkeys. So chickens and turkeys, you have these animals who are given these steroids, and they're grown very big, really quickly. Okay, it's like okay, that's very unnatural as it is. So as someone who tries to eat natural, that in itself is unnatural. So even if I ate animal products, that in itself is very unnatural. That a chicken is growing much faster than it should, and that's how most types of animals are. They're given something to make them produce more, to get the most out of them, and that's what humans do. They exploit them to the most possible degree possible. Okay. So with gene-edited animals, they could essentially edit the animal's DNA to be able to grow at that rate, at that speed, and to be able to be resistant against certain viruses and bacteria and that sort of thing. Okay? So the question is, if you do eat meat and your animal was genetically modified, would you eat that? Would you consume that product? Now, of course, as I said, I do not consume genetically modified foods because there's plenty of evidence that shows that genetically modified foods do contribute to autoimmune disease and various types of cancer. But it's not just the genetically modified food, it's also largely the amount of pesticide that is sprayed on it, specifically glyphosate. Glyphosate is a known carcinogen, and it is the most widely used herbicide on crops. So because of that, you have animals conventional animals, a majority of them are fed genetically modified soy and corn and other types of food as well. Okay? So they are fed these carcinogenic and damaging food as it is. So any product that is harvested from them would have the same properties as well and be very unhealthy for the person, as opposed to an animal who is organic, who eats or organic or grass-fed type of way that they do. So there is the big difference there, okay? But we have here, let's see what this says. Gene-edited plants will soon be in the grocery store, and this is very interesting to me because we already have genetically modified corn and soy that already is in the grocery store, so they already are there. Okay, now here is what a lot of people say about genetic modification as being, just it's safe, saying that we've been genetically modifying things since our ancestors. We're not talking about the same type of genetic modification. You're talking about breeding certain species to make them better. Gene editing is essentially done in a laboratory. You're taking certain DNA out and you're replacing it with other DNA with technology, okay? That's very different than what we did back then. So you can't compare the two. Okay. So that is the question. Would you eat them if you did eat those animals? And again, there's a lot of information here. You can look at this article yourself as well. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else of importance here. Okay. So our final article for tonight is here, and it's very similar as we proceed onward here. Would you eat meat from a lab? Consumers aren't necessarily sold on cultured meat. Okay. So we have here headlines when it approved the plant-based Impossible Burger. So the Impossible Burger, if you're not familiar, it's kind of a rival to the Beyond Meat burger, except for the Beyond Meat burger is non-genetically modified. The Impossible Burger is modified. They modify soy with some yeast to produce a unique component called heme iron. Heme iron is the type of iron that is found in animal blood. So it's in animal meat and patties and this thing right here, okay? Heme iron. It's a type of iron. It's a type of iron that our bodies do not regulate as well as non-heme iron that's found in plants. Heme iron has also been directly associated with cancer as well. So this is very interesting that they would make a burger that is plant-based, that you would think is healthy because, oh, it's plant-based, it must be healthy. That's not true at all. But no. They decide to create heme iron to give it that more meaty type of taste, despite the fact that heme iron, is not a healthy alternative to non-heme iron. So that is an interesting way of putting it there. But that is where we are headed next, as you can see. So they're going to use I think this talks about right here, stem cells from animal muscle and setting them in a nutrient-rich liquid to be able to grow essentially animal cells in a lab. Now, if this doesn't scream cancer to you, I don't know what does, but this to me just screams this is going to cause cancer. Okay, anything that humans can grow in a laboratory or multiply or things of that nature, very, very high probability of it causing cancer and being mutagenic, okay? There have been many, as I said, there have been many things that have shown that we weren't always so right with certain things of science. If you don't know how things always work, if you don't know how things are many, many, many years from this point, okay? But, yeah. So, and everyone has an opinion. Yes, everyone does have an opinion. I have an opinion. You have an opinion. We all have a different opinion. And we have here the age groups or who would try this type of meat that's made in a laboratory. And as you can see, the older generation, no. They would likely not try it. A majority of them said no. But as you can see, as we get younger here, and it's actually surprising that the 18 to 29 is actually 51%, and then the next one up is 60%, because they wanted they would be more likely to try as opposed to the older generation. So this is where we will be moving into the future here, because as more and more land is being taken up by us humans, there will be less and less space to, number one, grow plants and feed animals as well. So everything is going to be done in the laboratory. First, you're going to have the genetically modified animals, and then from there, you have like the lab meat, and then the purely, grown in a laboratory type of plants and fruits and vegetables and that sort of thing. We won't have any type of field, in the future, because there won't be enough space to house everyone as our population is increasing. Okay? And here's the most interesting part about this article at the very end. Benefits of this technology. Okay. This technology, how do you all feel about the term technology when it applies to food? If you're eating something, if you're eating food, how does technology factor into it? Is food a technology? And this is what the next phase is. We have to remember, the next phase is transhumanism, to make everything dependent on technology, okay? Everything will be dependent on technology. So this is technology. Your food is technology. Your food is not food. Your food is not plants. Your food is not nature. It is technology by humans, because humans can patent it and put a copyright symbol and trademark on it, okay? You can't do that in a nature. There is no copyright or trademark of Mother Nature. But you can, if you can take that living organism that's growing in nature and convert it into something that is a science experiment. And that is where we are headed into the future here. So as we go towards the future, that is where we are headed. So let me know your thoughts on it. Those were the main articles I had for a topic of discussion today. Those were the main ones. So I'm very curious to know what you think about all of this. What are your thoughts on animals and eating animals? And if you eat animals, again, I'm not here to judge you. You can do as you please. Ultimately, that's entirely up to you. That's not my choice. As I said, I'm not going to convert you, but I'm just trying to make some people aware. It does do damage to the environment, and it does do damage to our bodies. And as the future proceeds here, we won't have that. We won't be killing animals. It'll all be done in a laboratory anyway. Okay, so that is what the future holds in that regard. And then earlier in the broadcast here, I was talking about the person who was mocking the Chinese hot pot, and again, do you take offense to that? Is that something that is offensive to you? I don't really call it mocking. I don't even know if he even knew what he was talking about in that picture. I don't even know what that was. But yeah, he could have just said that. But yes, let me know your thoughts here. Okay, so I will answer a few questions here. Makes eating anything difficult? Well, I have to say, you shouldn't be thinking of it as something is difficult to do, because ultimately, if you're determined to do something and go somewhere, you can achieve that, and it doesn't have to be difficult. I thought it was going to be difficult going vegetarian or vegan. I was like, oh my gosh, all the food that I once loved, all of the the hot dogs and hamburgers, all of that, and the cheese and all this. And it's like, there are other alternatives that I may not have liked at first, but I got used to and I started to enjoy. And that is what is the hardest thing for most people. Because they try some vegetable thing or they try some vegan cheese and it is like, ugh, okay? When I first had the vegan cheese, absolutely disgusting, and I threw it away. I just could not eat that. And now I don't have a problem with it. So it's about changing your taste buds. I mean, if you've gone, eating meat every single day of your life, which many people who do eat meat, they're overeating meat. We don't need that amount of protein. Because think of it like this. If not only that, we're overeating in general anyway, okay? Especially here in the United States. But think about it. If back in the day they killed an animal and they were to eat it, they may not have another animal for quite a while again, okay? We're eating 3 or 4 different types of animals on like a daily basis here, different parts, and that's something else to mention here. Here in the United States, a lot of the types of animal products are very devoid of the organ meat of the animal, which is the most nutritious. If you're going to eat any kind of animal product, it should be the organs of the animal, because that provides the most nutrients, as opposed to, the hamburger and hot dog, and that is, pure carcinogens. Especially when you cook it, heat it up like on a grill and stuff like that. So we got another question here. How long have I been vegan? Just a few months, actually, but it was a slow progress. It was the official, stopping was, I guess, back in August, maybe. Because here's the thing, with me, I moved very slow. It took me 7 years from going to a very unhealthy diet, eating some of the things that I just told you about. I would eat very, very fattening, this chicken ramen noodles, okay? The ramen noodles that come in the packet and it has like, a chicken flavor, very, very unhealthy. And I would eat that, and I would eat 2 hot dogs with that, with, the bread, very, very unhealthy. And I suffered the consequences of that because I felt this tight pain in my chest. My cholesterol was, my good cholesterol was low, which apparently was due to lack of exercise. I wasn't exercising either. And then I slowly went pescatarian, slowly went vegetarian, then I slowly went vegan. So it was 7 years it took all that. And you may do all that in just 1 year, okay? That's up to you. All I know is that for me, I took things very slowly, and I don't have, any kind of problem, at this point. I'm not deficient in everything. All of my levels are like amazing. My cholesterol that should be high, the HDL, is actually higher than my LDL cholesterol, which I don't know how many, people it is like that, but that's something else that a lot of people like to do. I mean, I consume coconut oil every day. Coconut oil is very high in saturated fat and should raise your LDL cholesterol. And my LDL is lower than my HDL. And it's all in normal range. It's all really, really, really good. So, yeah. And indeed, Hoopty, vegan does not mean healthy. Because that is the other thing. A lot of people may consume, like Oreos. Oh, Oreos are, vegan, or any kind of like this chip, and yeah, you can get pizza that's, a vegan pizza just loaded up with fat and cheese and all this garbage, and it's, well, again, you can eat a bunch of vegan desserts and do all this, and it's not healthy. So just as Hoopty said, skip all that vegan meat and vegan cheese, stay whole food based. Absolutely. And the thing is, that may be the best for some people, but sometimes, you just want to make something that perhaps you had as a meat eater, pepperoni and cheese pizza. You can make that vegan. I actually have one from Vistro right in the freezer downstairs. Pepperoni and cheese pizza, vegan pizza. Okay. So yeah, it all depends on what you want to do. You know, the way that I eat, I think it's a mix of both. You know, I do eat plenty of types of raw foods and vegetables and all that, and you also can do all processed foods and still be healthy. So it's just about listening to your body and what your body needs, what your body wants, and all that sort of thing. Okay. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in here. I do have one more announcement that I will be doing. Oh gosh. So I'm looking for your feedback. What do you think of this? I mean, obviously, as I go along, I will be getting better at my presentation style. I think it was a bit, to me, it felt a little bit off and on, especially when I'm talking and I can't get everything out. You know, I have all these ideas in my head, but they don't really come out. It's harder for me to verbalize them as opposed to, you know, telling you them just telepathically. If I could just talk telepathically, then that would be ideal, because I can get so much thoughts out. I won't be stuttering at all. It's just perfect. But converting the brain to the mouth, it's just, I have a problem with that. And to me, I could have made it so much better because I had all these other ideas. So, yeah. Okay, so I do thank you all so much for the feedback here. I really do. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. So yeah, as I said, this is going to be like a weekly show. It's going to be different topics each time. I'll probably do it. It's not going to go on as long as it was today. It's going to be a little shorter. But this is just the introduction, the first episode, so may as well, you know, may as well. That is what we're going with. Okay? So if you have any other topics you want me to talk about, like, you know, health-wise, transgender, mental health, physical health, whatever you want me to talk about, you know, let me know somehow. You know, you can message me on social media. Thank you so much, Futa Bowie. Thank you so much for the wonderful donation. I'm so thankful for that. Thank you so much. So, as I said, if you have any other thoughts and ideas, just let me know. You know, you can send me a message on social media. You can reach me on Twitter and Facebook. Also have Instagram now if you want to follow me on there. Minds is always one of my favorite, but probably Twitter would probably be the easiest. If you were to link some resources to me that you want me to talk about in one of my shows. So also, you know, you can follow my events on my event calendar on my website, automasfido.com/events. So that is a good way to look at some of the upcoming events that I have, and I'll be changing that as I go along and announcing those sort of things. So, yep. And also thank you to E-Rock and Buddha Bowie for the wonderful donations as well. And I invite you now, well, actually not quite now, probably in like another hour or hour and a half, I'm going to be streaming on my Twitch channel, Asphodel Gaming. I'll be doing gaming. So I'm going to link that to you, and you can come and join me and follow me. I'll probably be starting maybe around like 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, so probably about an hour and a half from this point. So yeah, certainly feel free to follow me on there. I'll be playing some games tonight, and I promise that my voice won't be as much like this, because yeah, this was constant talking. In the games, I'm not always constantly talking, but yeah, go ahead and check me out then, and I will, if you come over, I'll see you in probably about close to an hour and a half or so, okay? You all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your night. And whatever you do, just stay safe, and just remember that as we move towards the future, that you must always remember to be aware of what's going on around you and be conscious and ask questions and to always think. That is the tip for today. Okay. Thank you all so very much. I will see you then. Bye-bye.